Up next, we have Torsten Magnus Peterson of Sedgwick.
I've never been good at keeping secrets. In 7th grade, the secret was my classmates asking, "Who do you have a crush on? Which boy do you have a crush on?" And I remember one day finally sitting in the back of the bus and coyly responded, "Who says it's a boy?" And I was no stranger to bullying at this point, so I just thought, what have I got to lose? I wrote in my journal that week that it was time to come out, not realizing that I already had. But I had the formal opportunity that week at the beginning of class. I stood up in front of my classmates and I told everyone that I knew there were rumors going around about me, but I wanted to clear it up. I told them, I don't care what bathroom somebody goes into. If I'm gonna love someone, heart to heart, I don't care what's in their pants. And all the boys in the back of the class laughed, as they do, but luckily, I had a very protective teacher. She told them, hey, stop it. She's being really brave, so stop it. And that was 12 years after my first assignment that I would later redefine female at birth. I remember as a young child wondering, well, why can't I take my shirt off? It was for an extended family photo. All the boys have their shirts off, and what about mine? And we have the same bodies. And much younger, people just didn't seem so different to me. I just thought, well, there's blondes, and there's brunettes. And moving forward, my body didn't have much gender. All I thought about was my weight. And that's all being a girl was for me growing up. Just taking up less space. But when I let my thoughts expand, I could realize that I identified a lot more with men. Feminine men, gender-bending men, their actors, their characters. And I didn't know a name for it. I didn't know about being non-binary. I didn't know about being gender fluid, or the truly expansive nature of gender. And I saw the way that people treated feminine men, and I saw how it was conflated with being a woman. So I just thought, well, if I relate to them, I guess I'm just a girl. But everything was about to change. My family moved to Minneapolis, and I started high school there. I had 8 years of yearning for social acceptance under my belt, and I was still miserable with my body. But I wanted to be seen, and seen I was in a way I'd never been. My femininity was blooming, and catcalling became an exciting trauma that I looked forward to every day. They felt like rites of passage. Endure harassment and be rewarded with adulthood, I told myself. And at this point, I was out as queer, as you know. And at the time, kind of the butch in my relationship. I would still get catcalled, followed home. My expression, my age, no deterrent. My sex was the only thing that mattered. But where many saw me flowering, I was just left with a bunch of questions. Who am I? Who am I not? how are you supposed to figure it out in a world where femininity has just accompanied being hurt, and masculinity has just accompanied what's hurt you? Now, growing up, even though I had my dad and my brother, masculinity still translated to me as conquest, as being in the spotlight, as stoicism. And all I knew of femininity was needing to hand myself off. And I knew deep down that there was more to discover, that there were mysteries, historical and internal, that I would need to explore before I understood anything. But luckily, I came to realize that I didn't need to understand anything fully before deciding first to love myself. So when I was 15, I came out as gender fluid, and it has been hard to hold on to that truth. When I first came out, I expressed mostly masculine because that was the part people didn't know about me yet. And then I started masculinizing hormones, and my whole world changed for the safer. The harassment, the catcalling stopped. People listened to me more. And I admit I lived like that for a while. I was traumatized enough that I let that partial truth be my sanctuary. But finally, I found the courage to come out again and again as gender fluid. It takes a lot of tenacity to hold on to that truth. But today, my name tag at work says they, he, and she. But it's hard to tolerate how some people around here, everywhere, around here, look at me and the things that they say. This year, I went to go pick up my $3 prize from the Blue Hill Fair for Best Small Fruit Tomato. And I didn't think twice about my outfit I had worn to work, this wool dress here, or that at the time I had my beard fully grown out. Drawing looks immediately, but within 10 minutes of arriving, the first person said as he passed, "What the?" But when the second person, another man, said it as he passed, I just had to turn and say, "You know, you're not the first person to say that tonight." I think many people think a terrible thing has happened to me. That I hated myself into who I am today. But I think that's just because being outside of the binary norm creates a knee-jerk discomfort. And gender, it provides a shortcut to a sense of security. And when questioned, many people can feel unsafe. There is a comfort in knowing exactly where people belong, and there is a grief when that structure is lost. I think they see the perceived pain of being trans without considering the freedom that I know now. And there's my secret, that I am incredibly lucky to be exactly as I am. I know. But after years of looking into these mysteries, internal and historical, I found myself in one of the oldest writings in human history, a letter from the goddess Inanna Ishtar to the being Atsashunamir, a being of mixed gender who had access to more realms than anyone. And she told us that we would always have our role as her children, but that we would be resented. She wrote that we would be beloved outcasts. And I found such comfort in that over 6,000 years ago, we were written by name as essential to this world. And I believe so strongly in being a part of that third option, an otherhood, that it's just one of the ways nature shows the variety of life. And in the most precious way, it is essential to who I am. But now you know, it's not a secret. It is sacred.